Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here tonight as we talk about how to travel the dementia journey through the holidays. The holidays are a time for us to gather with each other and share love, joy, gratitude, togetherness, and lots of traditions. However, when we're taking care of somebody and traveling the dementia journey, it can be filled with challenges, especially during the holidays. People get disoriented, confused, a lot of anxiety and agitation. Conversations can be overwhelming. Too much stimulation and the person becomes very overwhelmed, and many times we may see them exhibit a lot of emotional expressions during this time. So let's talk a little bit about things that you can do in order to keep the holidays peaceful and enjoyable for everyone, particularly the person with dementia. Let's first start and talk about decorations. Well, when you're changing someone's environment with dementia, you don't want to do it all at once. They don't go to bed one night and wake up the next and their whole world has changed. That can actually trigger what we often see as what we call as a behavior. I like to call those emotional expressions. So my advice would be to just try to decorate a little bit at a time. I know that seems to be difficult for people when the decoration tends to expand over 3 or 4 days. However, it is much better for your loved one with dementia to be able to adjust to a change in environment if decorations are added a little bit at a time. The next thing is, try to keep the decorations simple. In years past, when kids were growing up, it's a lot of fun to decorate an entire house with lights and various Santa decorations. However, this can appear to be too overwhelming for the person with dementia. So keep your decorations much more simplified for them. The next thing is stable versus flickering lights. We're going to go into lighting a little bit later. However, the more lights flicker or lights with music are on, it can actually be problematic for the person with dementia. First of all, they may not know where music is coming from, and the flickering lights can be problematic as it could throw someone into a seizure possibly if that is a problem. But more than anything else, lights turning on and off in a dark area can be frightening and overwhelming for the person. So keep lights on a standard, stable lighting. The next thing is sounds and bells and other noises. It's fun to get the Santa who talks or reindeers where the bells jingle, but quite honestly, the person with dementia no longer understands where those sounds are coming from. They may be talking about that they hear people talking and it can be perceived as they're having a hallucination. That's not what's happening. They simply don't know and they don't understand where the voices are coming from when decorations make noises or talk. The next thing is a lot of decorations are fragile, they're glass, and they can easily be broken or they have sharp edges. Keep in mind you want to keep your loved ones safe, first and foremost, so that you can enjoy the holidays and so can they. So decorations that are fragile might be easily broken. And if they're tiny, their fine motor skills may not be able to handle the decoration and it could drop. And if they're trying to help clean that up, they may get cut. So the stars that go on trees may have sharp edges. So just keep in mind when you're looking at your decorations that you want them to be enjoyable, but you also want them to be safe. The next one is the colors that you use. I know that Christmas red is a great color to use, especially at Christmas time. However, red can actually cause the person to become more agitated. So softer colors and greens, maybe with a little accent of red, creams, ivories, golds, and silvers all work very well. So be cautious on how much red you use in your Christmas decorations. Imitate candy, like a lot of decorations are out there will imitate food or candy. Be very careful when putting this out or within reach with your loved one with dementia. They may not understand that this is imitation candy and they may try to eat it. That could cause problems with broken teeth, or if they try to swallow it, choking hazards. So it's probably not the best idea to leave that kind of stuff out where they may not understand that it's not real. Even real hard candy may be problematic because they don't know to suck on it till it dissolves. They may try to chew it and again, or swallow it whole, and there again it becomes a choking hazard for the individual. So just be very careful what is within their reach when you put your decorations out. The last thing is that we use a lot of extension cords when we're plugging in Christmas lights or any other decorations. Ensure that those extra cords that you're using are taped down or somehow secured so they don't present as a fall risk for your loved one with dementia. The next thing I want to talk about is holiday traditions. This is the time of year when we really look forward to the things we've always done as we were growing up as a kid or as we were raising our own kid. And it's important for us to keep those traditions intact. Keep in mind, however, that the more the more activity that goes on in your home around this time of year can actually be really overstimulating for the person with dementia. So try to keep things simple and maybe not enjoy all your traditions every year, but pick out a couple that are pretty important or spread them out over a couple of weeks so it doesn't overwhelm the person with dementia. Some of the traditions that are super important are these. Decorating the tree. This person, given very simple decorations, may still be able to help and enjoy decorating the tree. They may not be able to reach up high, or they may not be able to reach down low, or even back behind the tree, but give them the spot in the area that they can reach, and maybe even help them by putting the hook on the ornament so that they can put it on the tree. The next thing would be gift wrapping and gift giving. So the person who with dementia may no longer understand how to wrap a gift with wrapping paper, but they might be able to still help put a Christmas gift in a Christmas bag and help stuff it with tissue. That might be a little bit more doable for them. When you think about gift giving, you want to make sure that it's something that the person might be able to use. A very warm and snuggly blanket is always really good, or slippers with non-skid soles on them. Keep in mind where the person is at in their dementia journey. They may not be able to put on a shirt and button the buttons any longer, but they could put on something and use Velcro to shut, like a t-shirt or a button-down shirt. You can actually have Velcro on the back. So you want to keep in mind that the gift giving is really to help them maintain their independence as much as possible and still be able to enjoy the Christmas gift that they received. The next thing might be cookie decorating. Depending on where the person is at in their dementia journey, this could pose to be a danger if they're getting near a stove and get burned. But for the most part, they might be able to sit at a table and mix all of the ingredients for cookies in a bowl. They also might be able to help, once cookies are cooled down, they might be able to help with frosting or sprinkling some type of decoration on the cookie. They can keep them involved. And of course, there's always the person who needs to be the taste tester, right? That's always a great job for somebody with dementia. And they'll let you know if it's good or if it's bad. The other thing is caroling. I don't know that I would encourage anyone to take somebody out and go caroling because it's cold, and if the weather's not good, they could easily slip and fall. However, some of the favorite music that they grew up with, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, or Santa Claus is Coming to Town, and of course the famous Jingle Bells, are all things that they could probably still do because their long-term memory is still intact. And they might just enjoy caroling with the family on one evening, and you can keep your tradition intact. So let's talk about lights for the moment, because a lot of times it's so much fun to decorate the inside and the outside of your home with lots of flickering lights. But if the outside of your house or your neighborhood looks like this, it may be challenging for the person with dementia. It may be really overwhelming. So like I said earlier, you may want to be thinking about lights that are stable versus that are flickering or blinking. Do not put up flickering or blinking lights in an environment where someone with dementia lives. That could be posed to be really problematic. The other thing is try not to use so many multiple colors. Multiple colors can be confusing for the person. And like I said, there are certain colors you don't want to use around someone with dementia. Black is one of them. Red is another one of them. Colors like blue and green and ivory and white work very well for the individual. And you can decorate an entire tree with just white or ivory lights. You can decorate an entire outside of the house with one solid color, and it can still look beautiful, but it's simple. The next thing is that you absolutely want to keep things simple for the person. And so less is more. And so I wouldn't use a lot of lights in the house or outside of the house for the individual. Also, you want to focus on, if you are going to decorate the outside of the house, utilize the bigger light bulbs. The smaller ones can be hard to see for the individual, and so bigger bulbs help light up a room or the outside of the house much better for the individual, and they can still enjoy the festivities of the year. The other thing is again, I'm going to remind you of cords when it comes to lighting. Make sure they're secured down or secured to a tree, or even if you're decorating outside, to lawn posts or pillars on the outside of the house. If lights are loose, this can be something that somebody tinkers with and starts pulling at, and if they're on the ground or on the floor, it becomes a fall risk for the person with dementia. You might want to think about using an automatic turning on and turning off light. If your loved one is still living by themselves or they're living in a community and that you want to add some Christmas cheer, you also don't want to rely on them to remember to unplug them or plug them in. So having an automatic timer when it will turn on at dusk and turn off when they're ready to go to bed relieves them from the responsibility of having to remember that on their own. So let's talk a little bit about things you can do at home. Plan ahead, meaning plan ahead by talking to family members who might be visiting during the holidays. Let them know and educate them on where your loved one is in their dementia journey. Help them understand that communication should be simplified or only giving them a couple of options so that they don't overwhelm the person. Help them understand to lower their voice and talk a little slower so that the person who they're interacting with can understand what they might be saying. Keep a routine and stay flexible. The holidays are always times with lots of families and lots of events, so the more you can continue to keep their routine stable and consistent will be best for them. Even if you are going to a family dinner or an event, try to go early and then come home early so the bedtime is still the same for them and they don't get to bed too late. Realistic expectations. It may no longer be realistic for a person to be at a family gathering where there's lots of people and there's lots of conversation. It might be that you can only go and spend a little bit of time there and you have to leave. And again, that's about planning ahead and setting the expectations with the people who will be interacting with your loved one during the holidays. The other thing is if you are at another family's home, try to find and create a quiet place. So if the person is getting tired or if they're getting a little agitated because of being overstimulated, you know that you can go to a guest room or an office and where it's quiet and where they might be able to calm down, or better yet, they might be able to take a little bit of a nap if they're getting overly tired. Also be mindful of their diet, hydration, and sleep patterns. You want to protect their health during the holidays. So the holidays are filled with lots of fudge and cookies and gingerbread houses, lots of sugar. Sugar can actually give them a little bit of burst of energy, but they can crash too and want to sleep. Sugar is also one of the things that's not great for cognitive health. So make sure that their diet is still filled with lots of vegetables and fiber and protein, along with what they can indulge in from time to time. It's okay to have a cookie or fudge from time to time, but it's all about moderation. Don't let them have 6 or 8 cookies. 1 or 2 is probably sufficient for them to still enjoy the holidays. Hydration is key. So make sure that they are still continuing to get enough water in their system. A minimum of 60 ounces is really what is the recommendation for individuals. The other thing is sleep patterns. People with dementia really do need a good 8 hours of sleep. Depending on where they're at in their journey, a mid-morning or a mid-afternoon nap is also really acceptable. Just don't let them oversleep, because if they oversleep during the day, they won't sleep at night. So getting a good night's sleep is still very important for the individual who's going on the dementia journey. Watch for signs of stress and fatigue and schedule rest periods. So when you are at someone's house, if you know it's going to be a long event, again, finding that quiet space or making sure they have time to take a nap for at least 30 minutes before they're moving on to the next thing with the family traditions. Prioritize comfort and safety. It's super important that the individual with dementia is your first priority, not the event. And so if they're getting agitated or they don't feel comfortable, especially if you're in an environment that doesn't seem to be safe, make sure that you say your quiet exits and be able to get the person back into their own environment where they do feel comfortable and they do feel safe. Connect the person with family through technology. This may or may not work, just depending on where the person is in their dementia journey. So being able to connect family via Zoom or Teams or Google Meet, anything like that, where the person can still be able to see family, may help them still enjoy the holidays, where you don't actually have to take them out and travel. That for some people, technology may not work if they're too far in the dementia journey, because they don't understand where voices are coming from, and it can actually trigger behaviors, unfortunately, and then that becomes problematic for the family member and the loved one who's trying to take care of the person with dementia. Familiarize others with their current situation and provide helpful hints. Tell them to talk to them that they have better hearing on their right side or their left side, to look directly at them and give them eye contact when you are talking. And as I said earlier, speak in a lower and much slower voice so that the person with dementia is able to process the information better. So what happens if you're going into the community? Church services, family events, traveling on an airplane, how do you handle those things? Well, traveling with the person, you may want to get early boarding so that the person can get on the plane and be able to get settled before the rest of the travelers do. Talk to your doctor about, is it possible to give them something to calm them down before traveling? I hesitate on this only because it can increase them as a fall risk. So the best thing to do is to talk to your doctor and find out what is the best recommendations with this. Traveling is really for somebody who is in the earlier to moderate stages of dementia. Once they get too far into the journey, this is very problematic and become overwhelming and can create panic and fear in the person. So traveling may not be an option as they travel through their dementia journey. Family gatherings. Try to encourage families to talk with the person one-on-one, especially if you've created a quiet space for them to be able to rest. A family member can go in and have a conversation with them there versus trying to talk to them in a room where 5, 8, 10 people are also trying to have conversations. The person with dementia cannot focus on the one person who's trying to have a conversation with them. They become overwhelmed, scared, frightened, and possibly can trigger behaviors. So be careful of that and educate the families on why it's important to be able to talk to the person one-on-one versus in a room with lots of conversation going on. Spiritual, monitor the person during any event. People can show signs of agitation by pacing or wringing their hands or looking around very rapidly, or their breathing changes. Those are the types of things that we will want to be able to identify so that we know to help the person get into a quieter place for them to calm down. The next thing is church and spiritual activities. We don't ever want to discourage someone from doing this, but if someone's wanting to go to service on Christmas Eve or Christmas morning, maybe choosing a service that is less attended might be more helpful for that individual. Or so many churches today have their services online so that the person can still attend, but they're safe at home when they're attending the church service during the holidays. The next thing is be mindful of how much stimulation is in their environment. Even going to kids events, school plays, church events, So many people are trying to have conversations, and an environment like that just may be way too overwhelming for your person with dementia. So having family members record it for you, or being able to live stream it on Facebook for you, or being able to take lots of pictures so that the person still can enjoy the event, however, doesn't have to actually be in the environment to know what happened. The next thing would be mindful of the weather. Check your weather report. Taking somebody out, an elderly person who already might be a fall risk or unstable, is going to become more problematic during bad weather. Cold weather is very miserable for the person with dementia. They have thin skin and they may not be able to warm up, and they're focused on that and not focused on the event you're trying to help them enjoy. So be mindful of the weather before taking your loved one out of the home. Be mindful of unexpected noises. So I know that there are a lot of kids who have church plays or school plays during this time. The person with dementia may not understand how to follow the story on stage or be able to understand where all the noises are coming from. That's another thing, is when you're out in the community, bells ringing or taking them to Christmas parades could be problematic because they simply don't understand where the noises are coming from, and it might create panic in them, therefore triggering a behavior. So those are things that you may need to avoid as the person continues to travel their dementia journey. And be mindful of going into overpopulated areas. Shopping malls are not a great place to have somebody during all the holiday shopping. It's so many kids and people wanting to see Santa and people trying to get gifts for their loved one. The person could easily get bumped and fall. The person may not understand all the noises that are around them. It's an overstimulating environment. If you leave someone in the food court and you go do your shopping, they may not stay there. They may get up and start wandering around looking for you, and then now they're lost and you're trying to find them. So overpopulated areas like shopping malls may not be in their best interest. Be mindful of how long you're away from home. Remember that home is where their security is. And so by being away from home for lots of hours could be tiresome for them, could create panic, and they may not feel safe any longer because they're not in their own safe environment. So be mindful of how long you think that the person can be away from home. One of the things I seriously want to stress is caregiver burnout. So first and foremost, let's talk about what is caregiver burnout. Caregiver burnout is a state of physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion that occurs when a person is taking care of another person or persons. Caregiver burnout happens when a person devotes the majority of their time, energy, and resources to taking care of someone else. And that person often neglects, forgets, or does not simply take care of themselves. And that can easily happen during the holidays when you're going, and trying to accommodate a lot of different events or current things that are happening with family and friends. So I tell caregivers, if you are flying, one of the very first thing a flight attendant will tell you is that if the plane drops and your oxygen mask drops, you are to put your oxygen mask on first before you help others around you, whether it's an elderly individual or whether it's a child. So this is no different. This is actually, we talk about why this is important for survival. If you were to run out of oxygen, you're going to die and you're not going to be able to take care of others around you. So it's very important, especially during the holidays as a caregiver, to ensure that you're taking care of yourself first so that you have enough energy to take care of your loved one as you navigate the dementia journey with him or her. So the magic of the holidays can still be the magic of the holidays. For kids who believe in Santa, and I'm a big believer that as long as you believe in Santa, he will always be real in your heart. We don't ever want to take the magic away for anyone at any age. And traveling the dementia journey can simply be challenging for individuals. But if you put these advice and guidance and tips into place, it can make your holidays seem so much more enjoyable as both you and your loved one are traveling the dementia journey. So just remember, as you continue enjoying your holidays, that life is not measured by the number of breaths we take, by the number, but by the number of moments that take our breath away. And we want you to create happy memories during the holidays with your loved one. Thank you so much for being here, and please check us out on mysilvertsunami.com. We'd like to see you again at our next K Talk. Thank you.